Alright, for this we're going to go ahead and go over the Proler P2 gun. Included with your gun you'll have a little bag full of different various tools, drill bits, things like that. You also have a grease gun, which you'll be needing that as well. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and take the side block off and kind of show you what we're working with there. The reason why I chose to do the side block is because it's usually, if there is an issue, 99% of the time it's going to be something in here or inside of your screen. And I'll get into that here in a moment. So just taking it off, you just remove these two machine screws here, and then it comes right off. And then from this portion here, we're actually going to be working with this section here. We're going to go ahead and remove these pieces so you can kind of see the internal workings of this portion of the gun. Now to remove that, all you need to do is this is threaded on. Get a little adjustable wrench and just break it loose. It shouldn't be very tight. It should just stop. And then you can usually just do it the rest of the way by hand. And we're going to remove this here. And then as you see, there's a spring in there. There's also a little seat for that spring here at the very base of this. These two parts are two separate pieces. They do come apart, but you want to be careful because this surface cannot have any scratches or burrs on it. So to remove it, you can use the back of this rubber piece, and you can press it up against it to loosen it up, and then the rest of the way. And if you need to, you can use that rounded tip to carefully push it the rest of the way out. And then you have a little O-ring there. This is something that can wear out. So if you have your valves open and you're not pulling the trigger and you have a little bit of material coming out, it's likely this O-ring, you have a scratch on this surface, or there's a scratch on the surface of the mix chamber. Now to put it back together, all you need to do is put this piece back inside of there, and you can push it back up, and then you'll put the seat back in the base of this chamber there, put the spring in, and then this will just thread right back on. And the A and B side are both identical on these sections. The only difference is the way they mount. They only can mount one way, so they only can go on one side. And these valves are different colors just to signify what side they belong on. And also the ISO side has a stamp on it of what side it is. But the internal workings of this piece are identical on both sides. Now the other thing we're going to check is the screen. Now this is also could be a problem area if you have a pressure a little bit higher on one side or the other. You could be looking at just a little bit of debris inside of your screen. Now you can just remove this, and you can leave it on the gun when you do this. You don't need to remove the side block to do this. I'm only doing that because I already have it off. So you unscrew this, and that's your screen. And as you see, there's an O-ring on there as well. There's your screen. And also inside this chamber you have a check ball and a spring. And those are what these are here. And to clean the screen, if it is dirty, you can simply just remove it, wash it off with some acetone or a solvent, return it back onto the housing for it, and then you'll put the spring in first, and then you'll have the check ball, and then you'll follow it by the screen and the housing. And it just threads right back in again. You don't want to go really tight. It'll almost feel like it just suddenly stops, and that's what you're looking for as far as being seated all the way. Because this is, again, a steel housing for the screen, and that's an aluminum block, so you want to be careful. Same thing with those machine screws. They're also steel, and this is an aluminum block. So that's it as far as the side block. And both these sides, again, are identical, so we're not going to take this one apart. But I am going to show you the mix chamber and how we can service that. Then on occasion, your pressures will be a little bit higher on one side, and you check the screen is clear. The next thing you would check would be the side holes on your mix chamber. You'd want to ensure that those are clear, that there's no buildup on them or anything like that, because that can also cause pressures to be a little high. Now, what to do with that is inside of your gun box you have a pen vise, and you also have a series of different drill bits with numbers on them. Now, standardly in your ProBlur P2 gun, it comes with an 01 mix chamber and tip, and this is what you would want to use. The larger one is for the tip of the mix chamber. The smaller one is actually for these holes on the side. Now, you don't want to hook these up to a drill and use them. You want to use just a pen vise because you can damage the mix chamber if you do it that way. So you want to drill out these holes on both sides with the smaller drill bit attached to that pen vise. Now, to remove, and if you needed to remove the mix chamber, all you would do is you would remove the head of the gun. First, you'd have to take the cap off, and there is an O-ring on there as well. And all that, again, is labeled out on the breakdown. And then you have your tip, as we call it, or the insert. This part should freely move in here, so whenever it is in there, it should be easy to move. It shouldn't be stuck at all. If it is, you probably have a little bit of buildup of material and you need to clean that out. But we'll remove the head of the gun. Now, inside of your gun box, you actually came with two of these tools. One is smaller, one is a little bit larger. The smaller one is for the head of the gun. Now you just put it in. Alright, this next portion we're going to talk about how to thoroughly clean your gun as far as like 100% rebuild. Now, we didn't discuss the pneumatic side of the gun because it's very rare you need to service this area, but for a full rebuild you should. The only thing that's a little tricky on this blow up is number 44 O-ring. That goes in the inner part of number 16. But other than that, it is very straightforward and pretty simple to follow. To really thoroughly clean your gun, you'll use this NMP, and we really recommend using a deep fryer or cooker. Don't set it to anything higher than 200 degrees Fahrenheit because this would be a little bit of a hazard. And then let it soak for 30 minutes to an hour. Pull it up inside the basket and you will clean it off with some acetone or a paint thinner. Then you can go ahead and install your new O-rings and reassemble your gun.